Hey guys, men's dating coach HarryWilmington here, founder of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. And on today's show, we're going to be looking at a message from a guy on Reddit that is trying to get with a woman, but in the process, he's doing some activities that he is unaware could be seen as creepy. So we're going to go over his message, what those creepy things are, why they're creepy to women, and what you should be doing instead if you're trying to show a woman that you're interested in dating her. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of when I post up new videos. So I wanted to go over this guy's message because as men, oftentimes when we like a woman, we know that we need to be doing certain things and certain actions to be able to show a woman that we like her and that we want to go out with her. But I don't think that we always have the best ideas and we're not always taught the right way to go about things. So we'll do things that sound like they're romantic or that we've seen in movies and heard in R&B songs that we think should work based on the examples we've seen. But how is the woman actually experiencing the things that we're doing? Are they seeing these things as loving gestures? Are they seeing these things as creepy behavior that's going to actually make her think that you're a little too obsessed with her and want to go away? So I'm going to go over this guy's message and I'm going to stop in parts so I can point out where he's doing things right, where he's doing things wrong, and what behaviors he's doing that are creepy that you should never, ever do. All right. So we'll get into that. As always, go to IntrovertDatingSuccess.com and check out my ebooks, audiobooks, video courses, and freebies. You can go there for one-on-one coaching. And if you like what you hear in this show, you can click on the tip jar tab to show your support. Let's get into this guy's message. So the title of it is, I like someone, but does she like me? He says, many years ago, I worked with a girl I really liked. We hit it off and exchanged numbers, but we were both in a relationship. So if you're in a relationship, guys, really, you shouldn't be trying to spread your number to anybody. If you are doing that, you might want to question how much you actually like the girl that you're currently with. But I don't recommend this kind of behavior when you're in a relationship with somebody. Continuing, he says she was very shy, hardworking, and was with a deadbeat guy. We eventually moved jobs and life took over and we lost contact. We've had a few bits of contact over the years since, Facebook friends, etc. A few years ago, we got chatting over Facebook. She had gotten married and I was in a relationship, so it was all very friendly. Yeah, but this guy kind of really knew, like in the back of his head, like, okay, but if she breaks up with anything, then I might be able to get in there. Again, go after women that don't have somebody already in their lives. He says, then we lost touch again. Last week on Tuesday, I saw a photo she posted on Instagram, so I liked it and sent her a message saying how she hasn't changed and she still was very beautiful. She replied back and we exchanged an update on our lives. She had got divorced and is single, and she asked me if I was single, and we messaged back and forth till Wednesday night. So he reconnected with her on a Tuesday, and she asked him if he was single. That is always a good sign. Usually that'll indicate that a woman's asking that question because women are generally curious about your life anyway, but asking that question can definitely be a way for her to see if you are available because she's thinking based on your interaction that she might consider possibly going out with you now, okay? So that part's good where he waited for her to say that part. The part where he's saying they started talking on Tuesday and talked all the way until Wednesday night, that is like 36 hours of texting conversation minus if you take out the sleeping part, okay? Even though he knew this woman and they're reconnecting, the fact that they're having this long amount of communication, it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing, but more important to the point is, what is the purpose of the communication? Any communication you do on the phone with a woman that you're interested in should be with the intent of getting a date or setting up a meetup, okay? And nowhere in this so far has he said that he was trying to talk to her with the intention of meeting up. So already this is starting out bad because he should be going for hey, we should catch up in person, we should meet up for drinks or a dinner, let me know when you're free. And so far that is not happening, okay? But let's continue reading on. He says, she told me it was her 45th birthday on Saturday, and which was the time he wrote this was a Sunday, so he wrote it was the day before. But it said her birthday was on Saturday, and we arranged to meet up in a few weeks for coffee. There's lots of kisses on the messages and kissing emojis. Then I didn't hear anything on Thursday or Friday. Okay, so he talked to her on Tuesday up until Wednesday, and he found out it was her birthday on Saturday. But they've already made plans to meet up in a couple of weeks for coffee. So that date has been set. All right. Now, at this point, me personally, if I had set a date, I wouldn't be reaching out to the woman at this point. I would be saying, okay, we got our date set up. In between now when we've set the date and when the date happens, if she decides to contact me, I will give some small banter here and there, but I'm not going to spend days on end on the phone. Why? Because all this texting, all this contacting, for one, as much as you think it's going to give you a chance to build up her interest, it does not, okay? Two, having that much text communication, inevitably, it could get to a point where you say the wrong thing on text that could end up turning her away, okay? But number three, having that much access to her and contacting her all the time can start to give her the impression that you are already obsessed with her, because it goes from, hey, we're sending a few texts here and there, to like now you're sending a text all the time thinking it's good. She on her end could be feeling like she's now obligated to have to constantly answer your text. And when she has a life outside of you, that means that she's doing other things, her job, her friends, her family, etc. And so you are not yet an important enough entity in her life to be dedicating her time to texting you constantly. So when he says the thing about like, oh, she didn't text me Thursday and Friday, yeah, y'all talk for a little bit, or for 2 days really, you set the date, at which point she's like, cool, I'll see you on the date. She doesn't necessarily need to talk to you again to remember that a date happened, okay? Because if she likes you and she's trying to help you, then she's going to show up for the date and recognize the date's happening, and most likely will reach out to you a couple days before the date. Hey, just want to make sure our date's still on. That's what happens when you set a date and you kind of let them be. You have to let them be to give them time to think about how good the date's going to be, to think about like what she's going to wear on the date, how she's going to smell. But you can ruin that and you can ruin the anticipation of her seeing you when you're there in her face via text every single day, okay? So these are the things to be mindful of when you're texting a woman. I don't recommend texting in general. I recommend like calling a woman to get a date or to reconnect or whatever. But if you're going to go the texting route, you got to realize that texting is a tool, and that tool is designed specifically to set up dates. It's not to set up there to try to build attraction or anything like that, okay? Continuing on, he says, because she told me the town she was living in, I did a quick search and pulled up an address for her. I have no idea if this is her current address, in parentheses. He says, I ordered some flowers online and had them delivered yesterday. He said, in parentheses, I did it on a whim. I thought it would be a nice gesture. I just wrote a generic message wishing her a happy birthday, but I didn't put my name at the end. Okay, guys. So this is an example of a trope that you oftentimes will see in movies, that in the movies works on women. You'll see a guy, I'm going to give this girl a surprise, this and that, and then you'll see him order something or do something and drop it off at her place. And in the movies, it's like, oh, who dropped off this thoughtful thing of flowers or balloons or whatever? And there's a little note there, but there's no name on the card. And the woman gets all like swept up in emotion and sentimental about it. Now, understand though, how did this movie get made? Who is typically writing these movies in Hollywood? Most of the time, it's these lonely guys that didn't get a lot of play back in the day and are writing fantasies of what they wish could happen and how they wish women would react. But in the reality, you have to really think about the logical process of thought that women are going to go through when this happens, okay? So, a guy that she reconnected with, that she hasn't actually met in person yet, has already looked her up online and has already found her address and is already sending her packages in the mail. Do you see how this could feel like a creepy thing to a woman? Could you see how a woman that has not given you her address yet might be a little freaked out when she discovers you've already found her address? Now you're thinking you want to be kind, you want to send something to her, you want it to be a surprise. This guy and her are not in a relationship yet. These are moves that, as a guy, you can make when you've already gone on a few dates, when you've already established there's a connection there, and you're already starting to build a bond. Then, ideally, you've already been to her place, you've already hooked up, and you already know that stuff to where you don't have to ask her for it. You just know, and you can send stuff to her. And by the way, you also know what her likes and dislikes are, so you know the kind of thing she's going to like when you send it to her in the first place. Okay? That is when it is not creepy behavior. But when you're not in the context of a relationship or a budding relationship or haven't even gone on a date with the person, these are not moves that are going to impress women. These are moves that are going to creep them out and make them think, oh my gosh, is he a stalker? Why is he doing this stuff for me? Why is he already overreaching when I haven't even got a chance to prove to him that I am worthy of him giving gifts to? Like, I know you guys don't think that women are thinking that they need to earn your respect, and they need to actually earn the ability to then have you do things for them. But women are pretty good about that. Women are pretty good at recognizing, hey, until we got a few times, maybe he shouldn't be trying to give me like the whole world. Maybe he should just be like getting me coffee or just meeting up and just talking and seeing if we even gel, okay? So for you guys out there that want to be those hyper romantic guys, there's nothing wrong with that if you're in a relationship, but also recognize that women don't need you to do this kind of stuff, because this kind of stuff freaks them the freak out, okay? Continuing. He says, I messaged her yesterday and wished her a happy birthday. And again, we messaged for a few hours. So, okay, by the way, the fact that he's taking up hours of her time on her birthday, also not a good look. Again, they are not in a relationship. She does not owe him this time. It is her birthday. She should be doing things that she wants to do and not feeling obligated to answer back to a guy that she probably feels like she has to because she doesn't want to be rude. But it's like, she told him, my birthday's this Saturday, in part to let this guy know probably that she's going to be doing other things. He could have sent a simple, hey, just wanted to say happy birthday. I know you're busy today, but, best of luck in whatever you do. And I look forward to our date in whatever time span, okay? That would have been, that's all he needed to do. Because again, no dates, no set relationship yet. So when you're not in a relationship with a woman, birthdays and holidays are not things you need to do something special for. Especially women that, again, you haven't even taken out on a date yet. Continuing. She says, so she told me how her car had broken down the day before and she had to get it fixed on her ex's breakdown coverage, I guess. She told me she was working this weekend. Again, there were lots of kisses and emojis on the messages. Now she seems to have gone quiet again. Yeah, but why is that? Because you've already set the date via text. And so there's really nothing more that she feels that she needs to do. Like until the date actually happens. And again, also, this guy is really stifling her ability to reach out to him. Because let's say on the off chance she wanted to talk to him via text before the date happens. Well, he's taking away that ability for her to feel that want to contact him because he's always rushing in first because he's excited about meeting her, wanting to text her and all this other stuff. And in the process, he's not allowing her time to see if she'll come after him, to see if she'll chase him. And as I always say, if she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. But when you're constantly coming after her, it gives her no incentive to prove to you that she actually wants to come after you, which then guys get up in their feelings because they're thinking, well, she never texts me first. And it's like, well, yeah, if you're texting her every day, when does she have time to choose to text you? She doesn't. Continuing, he says, so do I ask for her cell phone number rather than messaging through Instagram all the time? You ask for her number, but you don't feel obligated to have to call or text all the time. Until you even had that first date, you really should be limiting your phone time with her. Like even when I did online dating, I would message a woman up to the point where she agreed to a date, and I'd say, hey, let's go on a date, 2 or 3 days from now. And then once she says, yes, we're cool with the date, that's when I stop messaging. Because A, I've already set the date, so there's no need to continue that contact. And B, I know that if I stop contacting her, the best way to check to see if she's interested in really having this date is to not contact her and let her contact me and say, hey, so we still going on our date? At which point I know she's not going to cancel for one. And also I know that she's definitely building interest because she's now very excited about this date. But when you call all the time, when you text all the time, this cannot happen. So yes, ask for the number, but don't have that be now the reason you're going to be able to suddenly contact her nonstop because she does not want that. Continuing, he says, do I mention the flowers as I have no idea if she received them or not? So there's 2 ways this could have gone. A, she received the flowers, but there's no name on them, so why would she think that you're the one that sent them? There's 3 ways. B, she could have known that you probably sent them, but because she doesn't want to make things weird, she's not going to mention it because women will see you do some dumb stuff and act like you didn't say it. Think about like all the girls you've contacted where you'll say like, you have like girlfriends of yours and you'll be like, hey, so I was wondering if we go out on a date, and then she doesn't answer back. And then like a couple days later, she's like, hey, I'm sending you this meme, and she doesn't respond to the thing that you sent her about the date. That's her way of saying, I don't want to address this. I want to keep where we're at good, but I don't want to make you feel weird and then me feel weird by addressing the weirdness. So sometimes women won't address some weird stuff that happened, which is actually to your benefit because you really don't. Because if you bring it up and they bring it up, then it's going to be even weirder. Or C, she didn't get it at all. At which point, if she didn't get it because it's no longer, the address that you sent it to is no longer her address, there's no need to ever bring it up ever that you did some creepy, some activity. Like, just don't bring it up. You got away with it. She didn't see it. You're good. Mention it. Like in your 5th month of dating when you guys are in a relationship, you can say, hey, so I know it's going to sound weird, but like back in the day, before we started dating, after we agreed to a date, I sent you some stuff for your birthday and, I guess you didn't get it, but I just was really excited and I realized that I was making probably a dumb move and I'm glad you probably didn't get it. But either way, yeah, if she doesn't bring it up, you don't bring it up, because this is not behavior that you're going to win points for. It's behavior you're going to be seen as creepy for unless you're in a relationship. Last part, he says, does anyone think from the above that she's into me? I don't want to keep messaging her first. I don't want to do all the chasing. Once I message her, she responds and she seems to be engaging, but I don't want to annoy her. Okay, so here's the thing. Even if she is into you right now, you could be messing this up by messaging her way too much and trying to send gifts to her address and give her things before you go on a first date. So whether she likes you or not is irrelevant to, can you mess this up if you message her too much? This is the thing that a lot of guys don't really get, is that we think that if we send a couple of good messages and she's responding, that she must automatically like us because we're already feeling that strong like. Women take time to develop their feelings for you. So yes, there could be an inkling of, oh, this guy's interesting. This guy looks like somebody I could possibly build something with. But she needs more time to be able to really see and research you and make sure that you are who you say you are before she has full-blown feelings. So her feelings for you might start at like 60%. She might be 60% there when she first meets you. But the goal is to try to build it to like 90, 95%. And she's not going to get there on the first date. She's not going to get there on the second date. She's not going to get there on the third date. It on average takes 2 to 3 months for a woman's feelings to feel solidified in you enough to where it's at that 85 to 90% range. So during that time, that's when you are trying to be more patient, trying to hold back. You're giving her reasons to build her interest versus saying, I'm already there and you should be feeling these things too. Because just because you're excited about a date and you're already full in your feelings with her, she's not going to be there just on some conversations. But more importantly, she's also going to be patient in her own time, because part of her, what she's doing is testing to see what your level of patience is. What happens if she doesn't contact you every day? How are you going to react? How are you going to respond if you reach out to her, she sends a few texts, and then she decides to stop texting you because she has other things to do? Are you going to flip out? Are you going to go crazy? Are you going to send her like 4 or 5 texts in a row saying, hey, why don't you text me back? Or sending her a bunch of memes throughout the day that she doesn't have time to answer and honestly doesn't want to answer because she's still trying to get to know you. So you really need to limit the amount of contact you have in the beginning. You should only be seeing a woman 1, maybe 2 times a week in the beginning, and the texting should be very, very limited. It should be limited, honestly, to just trying to get her to go on the date. And I have a whole book on my website called Texting Like a Boss, which gives you the ins and outs of how to text, what to send, what not to send, how often to send things. That really helped me to get a better gauge of being able to attract a woman if I'm going to use texting as a tool, but not as my sole means of trying to communicate and my sole means of trying to attract a woman. So if you want to check out that book, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com and check that out, along with my other various freebies and other ebooks and stuff like that, okay? But really understand that, again, as well-meaning as your actions may be, you really need to look up on what are the kind of things that freak women out. In terms of communication, in terms of trying to get them certain kinds of gifts, in terms of certain compliments and certain comments of things. Like, what are the things that are going to give them pause and make them think, whoa, I need to take a second look at this guy because this guy is really kind of like out there and he's kind of freaking me out. Because if you learn what those things are, even if they seem dumb to you, it's good to know. That way you won't make those mistakes when you're going after a woman that would actually date you if you weren't creeping her the freak out. Thank you for watching this episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show. If you found the info in this episode to be helpful, please show your support by clicking on the tip jar tab, the link of which can be found at the website and in the description below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this episode and catch new episodes right here on YouTube or wherever podcasts can be found. In the meantime, be sure to check out these other episodes so you too can learn to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.